What if you were able to retire in your 30s, have all of your expenses covered, and have plenty of time to spend with family, friends, and doing what you enjoy without ever needing to work again? Traditionally, preparing for a comfortable retirement takes many years of dedicated saving and investing, and hopefully by the time you're no longer able to work, you'll have enough income to retire. With a little planning, it's possible to retire in your 30s, and if you're already beyond that age, you can retire in record-breaking time with some thought-out moves. Find out what you need to do immediately in order to prepare for a successful retirement in a fraction of the time than typically necessary. You're going to be surprised at just how easy this can be. My name is Chris, and I help teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you're interested in improving your financial future, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if this video is helpful. Estimating just how much money you're going to need every year to fund all of your expenses is a critical component of retirement. While it's impossible to determine exactly how much annual income you'll need, an estimate is a good starting point and it can be adjusted over time. Will your annual spending remain the same as when you were working, or do you expect to live a different lifestyle? If you plan on traveling frequently and buying luxuries, you'll want to consider those extra costs. Also, you're going to need to budget for health-related expenses that will be different than if you were receiving benefits from your employer. Once you know your annual spending, multiply that by 25. If your annual spending is $40,000, that means you would need roughly $1 million to provide enough income in retirement to last forever, not considering taxes. This is using a 4% withdrawal rate, which is considered sustainable. Purchasing your first home comes with many benefits, provided you're mentally and financially prepared to make the leap into homeownership. Becoming a homeowner can provide financial security because you'll no longer have to worry about your landlord raising your rent if real estate prices spiral out of control. You will be responsible for managing the property and paying for maintenance, rising property taxes, and insurance. When something goes wrong, it's your responsibility. Your regular expenses will rise a little bit over time, but they're not going to rise at the same rate as your rent would. The price you paid for the property and the mortgage payment will remain the same. This locks you into a fixed housing cost to some degree. This puts you in a much better position as you're trying to save aggressively for retirement, and you'll no longer wonder if your housing costs are going to skyrocket. You don't necessarily need a huge down payment, as it's possible to buy a home with less than 5% down. Having space in your home that can be rented out provides you with a massive opportunity to reduce what's likely your largest expense. While renting out unused space is best for those who have already become homeowners, it is possible if you're a renter. House hacking, or renting out part of your property, could bring in monthly income that can be used to offset your housing costs. When done methodically, it's possible to cover your entire mortgage and all other expenses and even more. House hacking puts you at a huge advantage when you're trying to retire early. Your housing costs are going to be little to nothing, so you'll have plenty of money that can be used for investing, and your retirement income needs are going to be drastically less. Just think of how much easier it will be to become financially free when your largest expense is covered. This method works in a variety of housing markets, because where property values are higher, rents tend to be as well, and vice versa. House hacking can be done in a variety of ways to suit your property management style and lifestyle preferences. Most common is to buy a multi-family home, like a duplex or triplex, occupy one unit, and rent the others. If you don't want the hassle of owning a multi-family home, you can simply rent out any extra rooms inside of your single-family home. If you have a 3-bedroom place and only use one bedroom, the other bedrooms could be rented individually either on a long-term or short-term basis. Renting out extra bedrooms is an excellent way to reduce costs as a renter, too. A common excuse for not implementing this method is that people don't want to be landlords, and they don't want to live with their tenants either. You don't need to rent out living space at all if you don't want to. Instead, you can rent out space outside of your home for storage, parking, camping, and so on. When you begin to offset your housing costs, you'll find it incredibly easy to keep your expenses low. While your peers are throwing away a huge amount of their income every month, you're going to be building wealth through real estate, and all of that money that would have been wasted on rent can be invested elsewhere. Even though your largest expense will be taken care of, you still need to keep an eye on other costs that can easily creep up, such as transportation. It's easy to succumb to the mentality of always needing the latest and greatest car to look rich and reward yourself, but having a large car payment is going to negate any advancements you make in other categories. Just think of how relevant driving a brand new car when you were young is going to be in 10 years or so. Carefully analyze other large costs in your budget, such as dining out, too. The frugal habits you establish prior to retiring will allow you to become financially free much quicker, at which point you can decide if you want to upgrade your lifestyle. When you plan on retiring early and only spending a portion of the typical lifetime of work in your career field, you want to select your occupation carefully. It doesn't necessarily make sense to spend 6 or 8 years earning a specialized degree when you plan on retiring in your 30s, spending little time using that degree. Consider occupations that require a small amount of training in respect to the annual income potential. An electrician, for example, is one of the highest paying jobs without a degree. They do have a period of training and licensing, but it doesn't take that long and they can begin earning a healthy income in a short amount of time. Not only can you work under a company as an employee in this field, it's also easy to start your own business as an electrician and begin earning an even higher income. Another option would be a career in sales, where the income potential is very high since it's commission-based. With all of the extra room in your budget you're going to have by implementing the proper steps, you're going to be surprised at how aggressively you're able to invest. Think of how much income can be directed to investments with no housing costs, a sizable income, and a sensible lifestyle. Investing money is critical, and selecting the right investments to suit your goals for growth and your time horizon is equally important. You want to earn enough interest that your investments begin to compound as soon as possible. On the other hand, you don't want to be reckless and buy investments that are extremely risky and likely to result in a loss. Consider the S&P 500 as a middle-of-the-road option that has returned an average of 10% annually. For example, if you were to start with no money and begin investing $2,000 per month, earning 10% per year, that would equate to over $800,000 after 15 years, excluding inflation. A common strategy that more aggressive investors employ is allocating most of their portfolio to something stable, like broad market index funds and ETFs, and leaving a portion, perhaps 10%, to invest in more speculative investments, like individual stocks and cryptocurrency. After completing all of these steps, consider starting a side hustle in your spare time. This doesn't mean work has to consume your every waking hour, and you should work every night and weekend after coming home from your main job. A side hustle could just be a few hours per week working another job in a different line of work, or it could be a small business, preferably one that pays well in relation to the time it takes. Popular and potentially high-paying side hustles include buying and selling items, babysitting or dog-sitting, social media management, Airbnb co-hosting, cleaning homes, or auto detailing. The options are endless, and it should be easy to find something that aligns with your passion and skill set. You might find that you enjoy it more than your main job, and it's more profitable. By implementing a plan and following these steps, it's not only possible to retire in your 30s, it's actually quite easy. These methods can apply to nearly anyone, even if you're past that age group. If you're ill-prepared for retirement, or you want to retire before the typical retirement age, you can use these steps to become financially free in record time.